we're waiting on our guest, Mr. Angelo Ellerbee. Good evening, Mr. Ellerbee.
What a pleasure it is. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for asking. Welcome to In the House Media House Call. Today, we will sit with a personality who can be considered an inspiration to all of us. Angelo Ellerbee, the founder and CEO of Double Exposure, a full service public relations, marketing, and artist development firm. Angelo is widely described as an icon, giant, czar, and public relations mogul. Angelo has worked with many legendary people, including James M. Toomey, Melba Moore, Michael Jackson, Mary J. Blige, and Dionne Warwick, to name a few. Tonight, the CEO of Double Exposure will share with us his wisdom and his latest book, Before I Let You Go, his fourth in a series of motivational books, which is available for pre order. I invite you to get comfortable as Angelo inspires us with his experience and insight. Welcome again, Mr. Angelo. It's an honor to talk to you this evening.
Bravo to you. What an introduction. Thank you very much. I got to carry you around with me. Thank you very much. It's a
Yes,
pleasure.
I'm going to get right into the question. And
Sure.
I think my first question, I know it might take all night for you to answer this, but I'm going to risk it.
Okay.
Tell us about your journey reaching to Before I Let You Go.
Tell you about my journey before this particular book.
Yes.
My journey has been a blessed journey. I am a staunch believer in what God wants me to do and do unto others. I shall do. And I think that I've accomplished that and I'm continuing to accomplish that. I was born and raised in a city, that's the city of Newark, New Jersey, to an incredible lady. My mother, a single parent, eighth grade education. She was a waitress. But for me, my mother was a professor. She was a dean. She was all that one had to be and give to someone else. I admire her still to this day. Her teachings to me and to my brothers and sisters is what I teach very much in my 24-week artist development program. I started out, my degree is in fashion designs. My clothes sold in a lot of the major department stores across the country. I lived in Paris, France from 16 to 18 years old as a fashion model. Um, I did fashion shows, a lot of community fashion shows. I was from a very rural area in Newark, New Jersey, and I wanted young people in Newark and abroad to have an understanding to what culture was. I used to bring in the Albanelli dancers and Carmen de Lavalon and Joffrey Holder to these events. It was really important for me that these people in the city that I lived in had an understanding outside of what was going on in the community of other happening things. I wanted them to see and feel the Albanelli dances. I wanted them to experience that. So I did about maybe 17 to 18 fashion shows in the city of Newark, and I raised money for HIV and AIDS, as also as some of the Black colleges in the city, in the state. I've been very, very fortunate. I've been so fortunate. From that, I did magazines. I was one of the publisher for a lot of the teen magazines back in the early 90s. You got your Right On magazines and your Black Beat magazines. And I'm still running Double Exposure. Um, my mother taught me at a very early age the importance of being a contributor as well as being a leader. And I've always been able to learn the importance of leadership. And so I've been a leader for a very, very, very long time. Um, but what I love about what I do, I never took the escalator or the elevator in my learning. I took steps. I took the steps because I wanted step by step to learn, acquire the taste, of learning and comprehending and doing from that point on out. I try to tell young kids today, it's not about that escalator and that elevator. I don't like instant coffee. I like brewed coffee. I like things that's going to take time. My 24-week artist development program, when Mary J. Blige enrolled in it, um, it's now benefiting her because it's now brewed. She's now this intellectual beauty. This, this. I sat back and I said to my assistant yesterday, I said, from hip hop to R&B to winning, being nominated for an Oscar. So it's when you believe, when you fall romantically in love with you can grab and capture your victory. I
Wow.
think life is merely a big stage. We're really all actors and actresses. And each day of our lives, we get a different script, and you have to read it and adjust to it. And I think in the case of Mary, it took some time. But as long as you get there, it's not about winning every race, it's just about staying in the race. If you stay in the race, eventually you will win. And that's my exercise. That's my movement. From the fashion shows. I started out doing, I started to work for James and Tume, who taught me the importance. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for Mtume. Mtume was my mentor, my father, my brother, uh, and at times he was almost my friend. Before his passing, he told me, we were sitting on his front porch. He said, Angelo, you are deliciously arrogant. And I said, what? He said, no, 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 brother, no, brother, nephew, because he calls me nephew. It's not a bad thing. He said, one of the reasons that I took you on and gave you what I gave you is because you had that. He said, you were so confident and so assured. And that's what I wanted around me. He said, that's why we stuck together the many years. I said, oh, and I smiled at him. I said, but you couldn't put it in other words. I had to be deliciously arrogant. He says, there's nothing wrong with being arrogant when you're convinced and you know what you're doing. So I live with that. I have still an incredible relationship with his family. I adore his wife, who is a designer. Her name is Camille Mtume. I adore her. If I ever had a friend, she would be the friend. We are like brothers and sisters, and she has allowed me to be a part of her family, and she has allowed me to learn from all her many, many experiences in fashion designs, and we still talk 4 times a day.
Wow.
Um, and then it was going to start my own company called Double Exposure. It really was a spring. It was a jump off from working with James Mtume. I started my company in the basement of my mother's home. And back in that day and time, we didn't have like phones or two-line phones. It was called a team phone. And it was one line. That was it. I took the table out of the garage, my mother's table out of the garage, and I set up Double Exposure in my mother's basement.
Wow.
And it was all about a hustle. I'm going to be very transparent with you. It was all about hustling and being a contributor. My mother believed that all of her children had to contribute to this house. She was a waitress. It was 6 of us with her, it was 7, and everybody had to support everybody. And that's what my book is about. This 4th book is about support. It's about mentoring. It's about loving yourself. It's about falling and romantically in love with yourself. It's about sharing that love with the next person.
So the book is
Mhm.
for not just, so the book I will think is for everyone.
This
Do you,
book is for everyone. I know everybody thinks that I'm so attached to the music industry. It's very little about the music industry in this book. This book speaks to the homeless, the HIV positive, speaks to domestic violence victims, male and female. It speaks to the jail, the imprisoned, because God gives us chances, and life should give us chances. And so I wanted to make sure that these people felt very, I want everybody to feel important. I want everybody to feel that they're great and then greater and then just the greatest. I want everyone to take the steps and not the elevator or the escalator. I believe there's a winner in every single soul that God has given life to. It's how we go to view it, how
Yeah.
we go to use that energy.
Yeah. Your title for the book. There are many things that can be read into your title. Tell us why you chose this specific title. Are you about to resign? Is that the end of your series?
I'm going
Or is it a warning?
I am going to explain it. I went through a lot of medical challenges this year, and I didn't think that I was going to see myself through. But I remember I remember how important it was for me to leave jewels, to leave some energy, some encouragement, some upliftment. That's what this book was about. I said before I let you go because I thought I was going to be gone. And God is so incredibly delicious. He favors and He extended my time. In the extension of my time, I think it's really important that I make people aware of my struggles, my trials, my tribulations, and see that I broke through it all. And if I can break through it all, back in the days with no money, my first job was going to the supermarket and bagging up people's grocery and getting 40 and 50 cents or whatever they gave me. I had to understand what it was really to be a man and be a contributor and to support your family. That's what it's about. It's not what life is about.
Do you think young people in today's society realize the importance of that, the hustle?
No. I think that they've learned another way of a hustle. See, I didn't hustle drugs. I didn't hustle pills.
Mm,
I
mm,
labored my hustle.
mhm.
So I would go to a beauty salon and sit there and be the receptionist going back and forth to the store. I would go up to the Food Town grocery store and I would bag up bags. I would do whatever it took that was legal for me to be a contributor to my family. And so we get lost in that. And I was having a conversation about some parents at this young school. I said, I think you're doing a wonderful job raising your children. I said, what happens when they get 18 and they leave the house and then the street has to raise them? That's another parent. You could do all the necessities of raising your children in a healthy, safe environment.
Yeah.
And then they go to Mother Street.
Yes. I know, and you know that saying that they usually say, you make your children, but you don't make their minds. You might train them up in the right way, but then they chose a different path. How can we, or what would you say is one thing or a few things that can help turn that back, turn that part of young people back from the hustling of drugs and doing illegal things, to get, the money and the clothes and the cars? What can we do to?
The first thing that we have to realize is the love of ourselves. And what a parent has to realize is not let their child make assumptions about that love, that internal love. Not because I'm your parent do I put a roof over your head. Not because I'm parent do I put clothes on your back. The simple thing that we have to start to do from infancy straight up is tell your child, I love you.
Mhm.
I really love you.
Do you think parents are telling their children that today? Do you
No,
think children? Okay.
I really, really don't. I think they want you to assume because I'm taking care of you.
That I love you.
that I love. That's their way. That's not your way. You gotta tell people how you feel, and you gotta have conversation. And you're not their friend. You're their mother and their father.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to them and know them. Advise them. Open up to them and let them open up to you. But you're not their friend. See,
So,
back in my day, it wasn't about standing in the corner, and that was your punishment. In my day, you got your ass beat.
mhm. Well, you know, there are different things with rules about beating the kids today.
Yeah, I know that. Look, my mother used to tell me the same thing. She would also say to me, "If you don't like the way this is here, see that door?
You can leave.
Go." And
Yeah.
I was like, "You really mean that?" She said, "Uh, uh, 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 You have to get a brown paper bag. You're not taking my suitcase. Go,
But you know, some children today will leave. And that's what you
leave."
they leave.
Tell you something. When they leave, they learn the hardest lesson of life.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Go and grow. Go and grow." Once you get out in that street and you see what it's really about, and you find that your friends are no longer your friends because they got mothers and fathers that they listen to, and you don't have a place to lay your head, and you start doing crazy things in order to support yourself. Not cool.
Yes. How is this book different from your previous books?
I think my heart, my mind, my body, and my soul, and all of my energy is in this book. I
Wow.
think this book is from the heart. I think it's really from the heart because I examine every particular community and I lay it out. And I tell people if you mess up, it's okay. God gives you chances, but you got to correct it. If you know your friends do drugs and you have a weak mind, that ain't your friend and you shouldn't be around them. You have to pull away from what you know is negative. You got to pull away because you want to get drugged. See, your friends come in disguises. They come into people come. All these relationships, they all come in disguises.
True.
Supposed to be your friend, your cousin, your friend. It ain't your friend. You got to watch out sometimes for family members.
Yeah.
You have to become, and that's why I keep emphasizing the importance of loving yourself and staying focused to do what you feel that you want to accomplish in this lifetime. Nobody can get in your ear. Stay original to what you want to do.
So
Don't
true.
let nobody detour your way of thinking. So it takes time for you to be by yourself, for you to think about things. And I'm from that school. Write things down, mark them off when you accomplish them. Makes you feel really good.
Yeah. Definitely. I can attest to that.
It's like when you write them down and you go back and you say, "Oh, I did that. Oh, and I did that." And
Hmm.
you
Yes.
become the shining example for your children. You become the shining example for the lady in church. You become the shining example for that man that's sleeping on the street. You become that shining example because you have accomplished and stayed in that whole area of accomplishing what you set to do. Life is too short.
So what would you want readers to take away? Like what is the most important thing you want readers to take away from before I let you go?
To be original.
Ah,
To be original. Don't be a copycat.
how is that important to you?
Oh, that's so important to me because I think as singers and dancers, we establish, excuse me, we establish ourselves and we create a mechanism to for whatever the winning result is. So if I love be some Beyonce, you can't be Beyonce because we got a Beyonce,
Hmm.
right? If I love Iman the model, already got we got an Iman. Why do I need another Iman?
Hmm.
So whatever you think in your mind, be creative, be original. Don't copy. Because we all have originality. We all have that gift to be
Some
original.
people, some people might say because of how the world is, things go around and come around. They might say it's not bad to take something from others,
Yeah,
but
that's when you call plagiarizing. It
yeah,
ain't yours. So why don't you take what's yours and let somebody plagiarize you? If that's the game that you want to play.
mhm,
So it's like, oh yeah, you take a little bit of that, you take a little bit. Just it's organic to be original.
yeah. How long did it take you to write the book?
It took me about 3 months.
Oh
So
wow.
I have a writer. We work together on Mondays and Saturdays, and we explore everything that I want to have in the book. I just got this morning. Are you familiar with the actor Antonio Fargas? Used to play Huggy Bear.
No.
Not familiar, but uh, he did the foreword to my book as well as Dion Ward did the foreword to my
Oh
book.
yes.
And these are two individuals, and I don't use the word friend lightly. These are two friends that I've known about 40 years. So I read what he wrote, and it was like brought a tear to me
Wow.
because we have gone through so much, Antonio and I wrote. We were just there. We were just like real friends, and those are the things that I'm leaving in this book to let people know. You got to be careful about who you bring into your house, who you call your friend.
So true. And that made me remember on the young woman that died in Miami. No, in I think it's in some country. She went with a group of friends, and then they had a fight, and then she died, and the friends came away and left her body there. So and she considered them her friends. So what would you say to young people about the friends they keep? I know you.
I would tell them to take the word friend and split the syllable. If you split the syllable in the word friend, you get END. A friendship is going to end. You have to earn my friendship. I can't call you my friend because I just met you. You're an associate, you're a colleague. It's just like courtships, engagements, and then marriage. Everything is not automatic. I have to spend time and take time in knowing you. We have to share some great qualities together for me to consider you because we like the same shoes and we wear. No, that
Wow,
word friend is very important and it's a very powerful word.
it is indeed. What are some pitfalls that you encountered in life and in writing these books that you would encourage others to avoid?
Pitfalls. I have had many pitfalls. It's almost like Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. I always ask the question, if you fall, ask yourself, why did you fall? While you're asking yourself that question, ask yourself another question. How are you going to get up? Because you don't have 100 men to put you back together again.
Mm,
You have you.
mhm.
So everything in life and all these falls are learning experiences. We learn by them. I don't look at them as pitfalls. It's experience that I apply. Experience that I apply for the greater tomorrow. I remember them. When I go down that road, that same road again, I was supposed to make a right. Let me go and make my right, and I will travel in the right path of what I need to be traveling in. In terms of the book came very strangely. It's very strange that I didn't even really want to write a book,
Oh wow.
but I was going through so many things, and I thought it was very important that I shared the things that I was going through. And I just really, really think my culture of people, people that look like you and I, we don't share enough.
So true.
We don't share. We don't try to help each other. It's like crabs in the barrel. I wanted to really get across to us as a culture, as a people, the importance of mentoring, and taking care of each other. Some time ago, there was a gentleman by the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad who spoke about the importance of unity in a community for Black folks. He told us that it was very important for us to have our own farms so we can deal with our own food and grow this, learn this. It's an empire. There's farms everywhere. We would have, and we would buy from each other. You know, we would take care of each other, the cars and the whole other bit. Um, that's something that was really destroyed in the message. We were black marked not to believe what was coming out of this man's mouth, and it was no more than the truth. It was the truth. But we didn't do it, didn't deal with any of his sayings because we thought he was evil. And that was the conditioning of what they wanted us to think. And I think so many times here and now in these stages in this life, I think that's what we're going through again. But we're smarter. We're smarter. We have a freedom of, but the influences of what people are doing and how they're not allowing us to go and grow. I give everybody maturity pills. I have these imaginary maturity pills. I give them one in the morning and one in the afternoon with a glass of water, and I tell them to grow up. Life is too short,
Yes.
and you can't take life with you. So why won't you share your life? Before I let you go, let me share what I've learned, and maybe you can go and grow by it.
Great.
By
Do
my
you
examples,
do you think do you think that our people are sharing enough, or they're holding on to it? What do you think?
I think they are not sharing enough.
And why do you think that is the case?
I think that if that is the case, we would not be in the positions that we're in. I think that we become a very selfish community. I think once we get it for our family, we don't want to get it for the next person's family.
Mm,
Um, we want to be of the elite. And I don't know where all of that eliteness comes from, but it's the picture that America paints. You have to have a one family house, two kids, one car, two-car garage. Da, 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 da. That's just not the way that it is.
mm.
It's not the way that it is.
What were your benchmark for success in the industry?
My benchmarks, I had none.
Yeah.
None. You know what? I am so thankful to God that I have been able to sustain myself for 55 years doing what it is that I do. I have never ever had a job outside of what I do.
Wow.
Um, I was a senior vice president at Island Records. I was a national director for Chrysalis Records, all in what I did. And I ran my company while I was doing this. I think you got to be hungry. If you're not hungry, you don't eat. I've been always so hungry about making my mom happy and making my sisters happy and making just people around me feel good about themselves. I think that's so important. You know, I represented the Marleys for about maybe 2 years, Tough Gone Records. Damian Marley, it's Adela Marley, and
Mhm.
I would go to Jamaica. I think I lived in Jamaica more than I lived in the States back at that time. And they didn't take a gift horse easy. They they didn't. They worked. They took the business, they took those businesses. This one handled this one handled this one handled. That's what I'm talking about. And then they gave it back to the culture. And the legacy is still continuing.
Yes.
Do you understand now what I'm talking about in terms of community and
Mhm.
mentorships?
Yes, and that's what, when I think about in the US, where we see, there's so many young people. Yes, some of them may go to university, but then they drop out or they don't continue, or when they finish, I don't know, is it that they're not hungry enough?
Everybody wants an easy route.
Mhm.
There is completion. You have to have some type of completion in life. And everybody wants that easy route. I want the I don't want you to do nothing for me free.
Mhm.
I don't want you to go to the store for free. Here, that's America. Pay your way. Pay your way through life. I don't want you giving me nothing free. I don't even want you to give me a free biscuit in your restaurant.
How do we change that mindset from our people? How do we change that?
I
I,
think I think conversation. I think talking about it and talking about it and talking about it and then doing it. Everybody has to be an example. Everybody has to be an example. Somebody gave you a chance. Then Jerome gave you a chance to sit there. You got to give somebody else a chance to sit there and show them too. You understand what I'm saying? Whoever's holding that camera that way, talk about him when you go and he gets another job and he could teach somebody the other way. But that's what it is.
I love that.
That's what it is.
Mhm.
People come
Because
and I say to them, I said, "Oh, well," they say, "Oh, I want to learn what you do." Mm. James and Tume taught me, and what he gave to me was so valuable. If I die with it, then I didn't do anything in which he wanted me to do is to share it. So with the investment that he made in me, I must turn around and make that investment in someone else. And someone else that's challenged. And I'm really into that imprisoned person. I'm talking about females, males. You come out of jail, you totally lost. You need good conversation. You need good hearing. You need to be around good people. And you need to feel good about yourself. For that battered woman who's just staying there because this person is providing the roof over there, uh-uh. You got to come up out of there, start to love yourself a little more, find a place for you and your child. Always a new beginning. It's always a new beginning.
I know when you started your double exposure, you worked with many legends like Michael Jackson and DMX and these people. How were you able to balance, working with them and knowing that the type of people who they are, who they were, and being
Can I
in.
say this to you? Everybody is the same. His money or their money wasn't my money. I was hired to do a job. I'm not impressed with another human being. I'm impressed with God, but I'm not impressed with a Michael Jackson or a DMX it's how you treat me what makes me. I'm not impressed with your money and what you were able to accomplish. How you treat me, how we get along, how we can share. Isn't that that's what it's about? And that's how I guided it.
So, but young people today, they're so all about the stars and the famous people, and they want to meet them, and they're
And I
stand.
sit down and I sit down and I give them a lesson. Don't bring that mess around me. You came here to do a job. And that's what you're gonna do. Or you won't do it. Because that door, I always tell everybody about my doors. You can go out. I'm not there. You came to in here to learn. Those people do the same thing that you do in the morning. They get up, they brush their teeth, they wash their face, they put on their clothes. And you got to treat them as another human being. And that question has been so popular in the last 25 interviews that I've done. Everybody asks me, how did you treat them? And how did they treat me? I treated them equally, the same. I've been loving Dion.
You were never starstruck by any of them.
No, honestly, no, not a one.
Was there anyone you wanted to work with and never got to work with?
Yeah, there's been many of people. I mean, no one that stands out in my mind. I always, I always have been a big admirer of Donna Ross. But I had a chance to work with her daughter. I did her daughter's wedding Rhonda's wedding many moons ago, and I had the pleasure of meeting her. So, but I wasn't. I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. I'm just, but oh,
There are
where's
people, yeah.
where's my check? That's what's important to me.
Yeah.
I did my job, and where's my check? It's a business. It's a business, and that's how I have to look at it.
Wow. So what else before we get to what else can we expect from you, I wanted to know what did you do to move from, because you started off as a in fashion design, and
Yes.
then how did you what it took for you to move from one level to the next? I know you said James M. Tume was very inspirational, but what did that do for you in terms of, okay, this is what I'm finished with this part, now I'm moving on to the next levels? How did you?
You know what it is? You know your timing. And you have to really, really, I think first impressions are the lasting impressions. And what Mtume saw in me at a very, very young age was, as he said, deliciously arrogant. He saw strength, he saw no nonsense, and he wanted me, and he had saw all the stuff that I had already did in Newark. So he saw my willpower. And so it was very easy. Well, it was very, I want to say it was very easy when I left him to really get into double exposure. Um, I think you have to make up your mind and you have to set your goals. And I'm just not going to stay in a place where there's no growth. You got to remember, my mother molded me to be a contributor. And I can't sit back and work for 2 nickels when it takes a quarter for me to live on. So that was one phase of my career. This is another phase of my career. And I am now getting into film and television. I'm working with 3 or 4 lovely ladies that are working with other production companies. So I'm looking now to start my production company for film and for TV.
Wow, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I know you are during my research. I saw you worked as a on Opera's first film, Native Son.
I
What was
did. I
yes?
did.
What was that experience?
It was an experience because at that early stage in my career, I didn't know what publicity was. And Tume said, "Now you're going to be my publicist." And I said to him, what is that?" And he said, he dug in his pocket. He gave me $100, and he said, "Go to the store and get me what $100 would buy in newspapers. And then I want you to go upstairs and sit there and pull out every entertainment piece in those newspapers. Then I want you to write down the names. Then I want you to find the phone numbers. And I want you to be really clear about what this film is about. It's Oprah Winfrey's is her first film. Diane Silver is the executive producer. Richard Wright is the. So I went downstairs, and I started doing cold calls. And the first person I called was this girl from the New York Times, and she was so mean and nasty, and she coughed. Oh, she coughed from the beginning of the conversation to the end of the conversation. I think I got her address out of her. And when I hung up with her, I went to the drugstore and I got 40 packs of cough drops. I went to the drugstore and got this box with a bow on it. Then I drove to the Federal Express office and I overnighted it to her. She got it the next day and she called me and she said, "Young man, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to do this." I said, "I felt that you needed some cough drops." She said, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "Oh, let me tell you about James and Two. 2 days later, a full page story in the New York Times. So it's about relationships and how you develop your relationships, how you can go back on your relationships. And that's how I began doing publicity, not knowing. And
Wow.
he taught me what I needed to do to engineer that.
Do you, would you consider it being a difficult job, task to do managing these people? And how did you cope with the challenges?
Um, Anything is difficult when you don't know about it. When you take your time to know about what it takes to do the job, it gets a little lighter. For me, I was so very very young. There was no one that can insult me. I was just a little young. It would go in one ear and back out the other. Um, I think that you really have to take the time to understand your client, the needs of your client, and assess and come up with a plan of how you're going to attack their needs, what they want. So if they're doing a movie, what do I do? I want to go after all of the entertainment press. I want to get as much television as I possibly can get from them. I see, because of my background being fashion, I used to dress my clients when they would go out to a party, or I would go shopping because I wanted to always do the completeness. I wanted to complete them because I did what I did. Okay, I got you this piece, but I don't want you to lose it because you look bad. Taught them about just pulling things together and making things be what they needed to be, clothes wise. And we always sit back and have conversations about the who, the what's, the whens, the wheres, and the whys of what you should not say. I would sit back with my clients and tell them what knife to use, what fork to use, what glass to use. That's well roundedness. That's what's really important. That gives you, that makes you could fit anywhere you need to fit. So I just always, and I think that's one of the things, excuse me, one of the things that stands out for that people recognize about me, that it's not just a publicity game, it's an artist development game, it's a stylist game, it's all of those things that spells out longevity for you. Yeah.
Wow. How do you balance work and life?
uh, I have been married to myself all of my life. And I think it's a sacrifice that someone has to make. I'm more than sure if you wanted to manage your life and your profession, you can do it. Saturday, I've just incorporated all into one, and it's not really good that you do that. But I'm like a doctor. I'm 7 days a week, and I'm there each and every time they call, and I enjoy what I do. I was very reluctant. I still enjoy what I do. Um, I don't know if it's a balance. I've learned to take certain days. Like I'll take like tomorrow's Friday. I'll do half a day on Friday, and the rest is mine. And then the Saturday is all mine, and Sunday is all mine. Unless there's a project or something that I have to deal with, I've learned to take those 3 days. Everybody says to me that I need to take a vacation, but I'm always after the needs of my clients and thinking that they're going to need me and I need to be around.
Do you have a goal that you plan on reaching in life? And
I think I've reached the goal.
hmm,
And the goal that I think that I have reached is living to be 67 years old and giving back and giving back, touching hearts, touching minds, being a mentor for people, showing them the way. I've been I've been to the mountaintop as Martin Luther King says about 10 times.
Wow. Where can persons find the book?
Oh, okay. So the book is on the pre-orders, and we're pre-ordering the book from May until July, and then the book is released in August. And they can go to my social media. I'm learning my social media. This is why they go get the phone. So they can go to at Double Exposure NYC and all that information about the book. And I really want this book to get out there in a major way because I think it has so much to give to individuals. It just has so much to give. Even the four words has so much hope and so much strength for that reader of that book.
And
Yeah,
you had mentioned earlier that you would like one thing you would want them to take away is being original. Am I
yeah.
correct? Is
Very
there
true.
any other thing that you'd want readers to take away from that book?
Be you. Just be you. Be you and feel and know that you should. Whatever that book is going to do for you, you need to share that book with somebody else. If it does anything for you, if it makes you feel good, if it makes you think different, whatever it's going to do for you, give it to somebody else to read. Xerox copy it. Do whatever you have to do if they can't afford to buy the book. But give the book to someone else and share it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ellerbee, for this conversation. Again, it was an honor to talk to you, and I will definitely be telling others about your book.
Oh, I
Telling
thank you
others
so
about your
very,
book.
very much. And would you tell the boss man, Mr. Jerome, I said, thank you very, very much. This guy is an incredible individual. He's been supporting me for years and years and years. And I thank him very much. And I thank his organization and his platform because they do such great jobs in bringing information back into the community. So I say bravo, bravo, bravo.
Thank you again, Mr. Ellerbee. Have a good
Oh,
evening.
be blessed now. Take care now.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yes, that was In House Media House Call speaking with Mr. Angelo Ellerbee, CEO and founder of Double Exposure. You can find his book on his platforms, social media platforms. You can go and check out his latest book, Before I Let You Go. Thank you for watching again. I am Larissa Nicholson.